Hi, I'm Sunny J, and you've got to go on camera and you want to know how to be confident or comfortable. Well, the number one thing is to be comfortable in how you look. Be comfortable with what you're wearing. Make sure it's the right color for you, because if you look good, you feel good. Your confidence better, your attitude's better, you're happier, and you're come across that way. If you're uncomfortable with what you're wearing, don't like it, your mind is going to be so focused on how do I look that it's going to be really hard for you to come across with a good interview. And that doesn't matter whether you are the interviewer or the interviewee. It doesn't matter. Making sure you are comfortable with how you look is the beginning of either doing a good interview, no matter what side of the table you are on. Make sure you feel comfortable with what you're wearing, how it looks on you, the color, the fit, everything. That is the first step of a good interview. And I'm Sunny J. Tip 2 on the interview. If you are the interviewer, key piece is you need to know your subject. Know your subject, know what you're going to talk about, and the questions you need to ask to lead them in the direction to get them to go where you want them to go. And the only way you can do that is if you know what it is you want to lead them to, what it is that you're trying to get out of this interview, who you're sharing it with, the purpose of the interview. Those are a couple of questions that you need to know for yourself, because that's going to give you the direction to go in, right? So if you know who they are and the direction you want to go in, and you know the purpose of the interview, then you know what questions to ask to get you to that point. If you are the interviewee, then you too have to know the purpose of the interview, the subject matter that's going to be covered, so you know what kind of questions are going to be asked, and you already know the answers that you want to give. So you kind of have already practiced somewhat in your head the kind of answers that you want to give, and also know what you want to get out, because there is a way to turn an interview. If they ask you a question, you can answer that question and then answer and give out what you're wanting to get out. So both sides have to know what is the purpose of the interview, to know what kinds of questions, what kind of answers, to make it very simple, but actually to the point. So know the person, the subject matter, the point of the interview, to know the direction you want the interview to go in. And that does not matter whether it's from the interviewer to the interviewee. The interviewee, you have to know the purpose of the interview, the matter that is going to be covered, and what you're wanting to get out of it, because both people want something out of it. The interviewer wants something out of it, and the interviewee should want something out of it, because that would be why it's a benefit for you to do the interview. So both sides need to know what's the purpose, and that's going to make the interview a lot easier to get done. That actually is tip 2 for the interview process. I'm Sunny J. Tip 3 of the interview process: how to prepare. The more prepared you are for the interview, the easier, the smoother it's going to go, right? So if you know what you're interviewing about, is it a book? Is it some event in a person's life? You can actually develop your questions, send it to the person. So this is the interviewer. Send the questions to the interviewee so that they're prepared. They know what kind of questions you're going to ask in succession, because you don't want them to answer the questions the wrong way, and now you don't really get to go where you want to go. So you want to give them the questions. They can see the order of the questions. That way they're prepared for the answers, but you also are prepared for the interview, because the questions are going to lead the interview in the direction you want it to go. And the interviewee is prepared, and it's going to make it go a lot easier and a lot quicker. So preparation is key on both sides. The interviewer can prepare the questions in advance, send them to the interviewee so that they can actually know the questions and know how to answer them. And also give them the opportunity to ask you, what do you mean by a specific question? Because sometimes it's interpretation. You might mean one particular thing and they understood something else. So sometimes that can also be very beneficial, giving them the opportunity to ask you specifically, is there a question that they don't understand, so that you can get the right answer, right? Because it's beneficial to both parties for it to be a good interview. Preparation is tip number 3 for the interview process. And I am Sunny J. I'm Sunny J, and this is tip number 4 for interviewing. Now, this is for the interviewer. If you are interviewing somebody you don't know, for instance, you're on a stage and it's artist performing, right? And your job is to introduce them. You might say to them prior to the cameras running, tell me a little bit about yourself real quick, or is there anything particularly that you're doing that you want the audience to know? Then therefore, all you need is the leading question, and the person, the interviewee, will take it from there. So, you don't know them, ask them a quick question, and let them talk. Because they know what it is that they're doing. They know who they are, what they're doing, whether it's music, whether it's dance, whatever. They can explain it, and then from there, you have ammunition to ask other questions. But that is the simplest way. I used to interview entertainers all the time for a TV show, Piper's Picks TV, for those that remember. And the first time I met the performers was on the stage. So before the cameras turned on, very quickly, I asked them, I'm going to ask you this, I'm going to ask you that. I'm going to ask you what's your name, where you're from, and what are you going to do for us today? Basically, give them a quick opportunity to practice that. And it took like 2 seconds. And I'd say, okay, ready? And we were ready to roll, because it was simple. Who are you? You should know who you are, right? You should know what you get ready to do. And you should know if there's anything going on special you want the audience to know. So for the interviewer, quick preparation questions. Let the interviewee talk. That is interview process for the interviewer. But that is another tip, and that's tip 4. And I'm Sunny J. Hi, I'm Sunny J. And we're talking about interviews and interviewers. Interviewees, interviewers. And so now I'm going to talk to the interviewees. So you're on a stage, or you're in some type of presentation, and they say, tell us about yourself. Be prepared to tell them. Tell them your name, where you're from, what it is that you do. If you're a dancer, a singer, whatever it is, be prepared to tell them what you do. Very succinctly, quickly, energetically, smiling. Those are the things you have to practice, because as a performer, when you hit that stage, you have to be on. Whether that's an auditorium stage, a casting call, whatever it is, that moment you have to be on. There's a switch you have to be able to click inside of you. Instantly you're on, you're full of energy, you're full of smiles. And sometimes you might have to practice that. Practice it in front of the mirror till you're comfortable, and you can do it at the drop of a dime. I'm Sunny J, and that one is specifically for the interviewee.